Some people fall in love with those who meet them halfway. Others fall harder for the ones who start strong, then vanish like a free trial. And for some reason, the less interested someone is, the more magnetic they become. Suddenly, the person who barely texts back is the one getting all the emotional energy. Of course, this isn't random. It's a pattern. And there's a reason it happens, almost like clockwork. At first glance, it looks like attraction. But look a little closer and it's something else entirely. The chase isn't really about connection. It's about validation. It's about needing to be chosen by someone who isn't offering much to begin with. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. The same principle behind slot machines. Unpredictable responses make the reward feel more powerful. Sometimes there's warmth, sometimes distance, sometimes affection, sometimes silence. That uncertainty keeps the brain on edge. It turns attention into a prize and creates emotional addiction. It feels like chemistry, but it's really anxiety. And it's running the whole show behind the scenes. Underneath it all is a belief that love has to be earned, that attention isn't freely given. It has to be secured. Which means when someone starts pulling away, the instinct isn't to walk away. It's to work harder, to say more, do more, become more interesting. But the effort isn't really about that person. It's about what being chosen by that person would mean. It becomes proof of worth. This pattern is exhausting. And it's also familiar to many, as because it starts long before adulthood. According to attachment theory, people with anxious attachment often experienced unpredictable emotional support in childhood. Sometimes their needs were met, sometimes they weren't. That inconsistency created hypervigilance, always watching, always adjusting. Dr. Amir Levine, co-author of Attached, explains it like this. We are wired to recreate what's familiar, even when it hurts. Because to the nervous system, what's familiar feels safe, even when it's not healthy. So when a partner is available, kind, and emotionally stable, the reaction isn't always comfort. For many, it's discomfort. Calm starts to feel suspicious. Stability feels flat. And emotional chaos becomes the default rhythm. Add to that the scarcity effect, the tendency to place more value on things that are limited. And emotional distance starts to look like depth. Not because it is, but because it's harder to get. This is why people chase. Not because they love drama, but because drama is what the body was trained to interpret as love. Breaking this cycle doesn't start with behavior. It starts with awareness. When a partner becomes less emotionally available, that change often triggers panic. The mind begins to search for explanations, how to fix it, how to respond, how to get the closeness back. That's when clarity is most needed. If someone's distance increases attraction, something deeper is being activated, not romance survival instinct. Emotional pullbacks can feel like rejection, but they don't always mean something is wrong. They can also reveal a person's capacity for intimacy or their limitations. Either way, it's information, not an invitation to earn love. Next comes relearning what connection feels like. And that part takes time. If inconsistency has been the norm, consistency will feel boring at first. When someone is open, honest, and clear about their interest, it might not create that same high. But that high isn't love. It's stress. When the nervous system starts to relax, calm begins to feel less like dullness, more like security. And the relationships that used to seem boring begin to feel like peace. This shift requires intention. It means letting calm become the new standard, not as a reward, as a requirement. And finally, it means no longer responding to emotional distance with extra effort. Affection shouldn't be a reaction to absence. It should be mutual, steady, reciprocal. When energy isn't matched, that's not a challenge to fix. That's data, and it should be honored. There's no need to pursue people who need convincing, no need to double down when someone's already halfway out the door, and no need to shrink in order to stay desirable. Genuine connection doesn't require strategy. It doesn't make people guess. It doesn't keep score. It shows up fully and stays. Once the chase ends, something else begins. Clarity. And with that clarity, patterns become visible. It becomes obvious who was exciting only because they were inconsistent, and who was worth it all along, but overlooked because they were stable. The urge to chase fades, not because attraction disappears, but because peace becomes more attractive than pain. And love, finally, feels less like a prize to win and more like a place to rest. So for anyone stuck in the loop of giving more to people who offer less, this isn't about changing them. It's about changing what gets your energy in the first place. Because the ones who pull away will always create tension, but the ones who stay, they create safety, they create consistency. And they never need to be chased. If that's the kind of love that sounds worth choosing, hit the like button, subscribe for more, because the most important relationship pattern to break is the one that keeps convincing you love should hurt before it feels good.